Your mother and I were best friends growing up. We lost touch after high school, but when I heard your name, something inside me said, find her. So Karen and I began the process. We didn't plan on being your guardians. We just wanted to make sure you were okay. But then we met you, and something changed. Karen wiped her eyes. We saw you sitting alone on the floor, silent, and Max walked straight to you, sat down and didn't move. David finished. That was the first time he'd ever done that, ever. We knew right then. We weren't meant to save you. You were meant to save us. Emily blinked again. Her eyes shimmered. And then she did something none of them expected. She stood. Max stood with her. She walked, slowly but surely, over to Karen and David. And then she reached out and took both their hands. Everyone in the courtroom held their breath. She turned and looked at Judge Leeds. My family, she whispered. The gavel came down one final time. This court is adjourned. As people began to rise and leave, the judge lingered for a moment, watching the trio, no, the family, that now stood united. Max circled them once before sitting down beside Emily once more. Later, outside the courthouse, the sun broke through the clouds. Reporters had gathered, but the Whitmores shielded Emily gently from the attention. Max stayed between them, calm and steady. You were amazing today, Karen whispered to her. Emily smiled, small but real. So were you, David chuckled. You know, we still owe Max a steak for today, Emily giggled. He likes it medium rare. As they walked toward the car, Max trotting proudly ahead, David turned to Karen. Think she'll talk more now? Karen glanced down at Emily, who was humming softly as she skipped along beside Max. She already is. And as they disappeared down the courthouse steps, the sun finally bathed them in golden light, just like Max's coat. It wasn't just a victory in court, it was the beginning of a life, together. Emily awoke to the unfamiliar feel of soft sheets and warmth. She blinked, momentarily disoriented, as her eyes adjusted to the soft golden light of the room. The bed was huge, the linen was crisp and white, and there was a scent of lavender in the air. For a second, her brain fought to process where she was, and then the memories came flooding back. The street, the rain, the stranger, the SUV. She turned quickly. Noah! The boy was curled up on a smaller daybed in the same room, bundled in a fuzzy blue blanket. His mouth was slightly open, one hand still gripping his stuffed bear. A tray with a half-eaten grilled cheese sandwich and chocolate milk sat nearby. He looked safe, safe and warm. Her chest loosened for the first time in days. Just then, the door creaked open. Daniel stood in the hallway, wearing casual clothes now, jeans and a gray sweater. He held a steaming mug in each hand. You're awake, he said, stepping in. Thought you might want some tea? Emily sat up slowly, her body aching in places she'd almost forgotten existed. You didn't have to. I know, he interrupted gently, placing the cup on her nightstand. But I wanted to. She stared at the mug, then back at him. Where are we? My home. Or one of them, he said with a hint of self-deprecating humor. It's quieter here than my apartment in Manhattan. I figured you and your son needed rest. Privacy. You brought us to your house? She asked, surprised. He nodded. There's a guest wing. 2 extra rooms. It's safe. Emily's guard didn't lower entirely. Experience had taught her that kindness often came with a price. But there was something different in Daniel's eyes. No hunger, no pity, just a tired, patient sadness, like someone who'd seen a lot more pain than he let on. She wrapped the blanket around her shoulders. Why'd you stop? He looked toward the window. Because when I was a kid, someone once stopped for me. That caught her off guard. You? Daniel smiled faintly. Grew up in Brooklyn. Mom raised me on her own. Sometimes we lived in shelters, sometimes worse. But one night, when I was around your son's age, a woman named Angela, volunteer nurse, found us outside a pharmacy. She didn't look the other way. She gave us a place, a fresh start. Emily listened silently, her heart softening. I never forgot that night, he continued. She saved my mother, saved me. Everything I have now, it started because someone stopped. Noah stirred in his sleep, and Emily turned her eyes to him. He's all I have left. Daniel followed her gaze. And you're all he needs. There was a long pause, the air between them thick with 1,000 unspoken emotions. Then he said, I have a friend who runs a family outreach program. They help single mothers, offer housing, counseling, job placement. Her throat tightened. I don't want a handout. It's not a handout, it's a bridge. One I wish someone had offered my mom earlier. Emily looked down at her hands. They were still trembling, even now. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm just not used to people being nice without a reason. Daniel stood. I understand. I'll give you time. The room's yours as long as you need it. As he moved toward the door, she stopped him. Daniel, he turned. Thank you for seeing us. He gave a small nod. It was impossible not to. That evening, Emily sat by the window, watching Noah draw with the crayons Daniel had brought up. She sipped warm soup from a ceramic bowl, something simple, yet it tasted like hope. Still, a part of her waited for the other shoe to drop. Life had taught her not to trust comfort. She'd known abandonment, abuse, the lies of men who claimed they cared. So why did Daniel feel different? She hadn't told him everything. How long she'd been trapped with Noah's stepfather. How hard she'd fought just to keep food on the table. Or how she had once dreamed of becoming a nurse, before the dream died with her mother's cancer diagnosis in the bills that followed. That night, while Noah slept soundly in his room, Emily walked softly down the hall and found Daniel in the kitchen, flipping through a stack of business proposals. You're still working? She asked. He smiled without looking up. Always. She hesitated. Do you ever stop? Not really. When you come from nothing, you get used to building fast and never slowing down. He glanced up. But sometimes you need to stop, to remember why you started. There was something unspoken in that sentence, a longing, a loneliness she recognized because it lived in her too. She nodded toward the papers. What do you do, exactly? Tech consulting, software, smart systems. We build things that make other companies faster and more efficient. He paused. But lately, I wonder if I've been so busy building things, I forgot how to fix what's human. Emily studied him, wondering how someone so successful could still sound so hollow. Would you mind if I cooked something tomorrow? She asked suddenly. It's been a while since I was in a real kitchen. His eyes lit up. I'd like that. What neither of them knew as they shared that quiet moment was that Emily's past was not yet finished with her, and someone dangerous had already started looking for her. The scent of cinnamon and butter drifted from the kitchen the next morning. Daniel entered, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. He paused at the sight before him. Emily, standing at the stove in one of his spare sweatshirts, humming softly as she flipped French toast in a skillet. The sunlight streamed through the windows, casting a golden glow around her. For a fleeting moment, the mansion felt less empty, more like a home. Good morning, he said, clearing his throat. Emily turned with a shy smile. I hope you don't mind. I found some bread in the pantry. He shook his head. Not at all. It smells incredible. Noah's still sleeping. Thought I'd surprise him. Daniel leaned against the counter, watching her. There was something graceful in her movements, careful, measured, yet full of love. A kind of resilience you couldn't fake. He'd seen people with money fake warmth, but Emily radiated it effortlessly. As she plated the food, she glanced up. I've been thinking about the outreach program you mentioned. Maybe it's time I stop surviving and start rebuilding. He smiled. That's all I hoped to hear. But just as she placed a fork on the table, the sound of the front door buzzer echoed through the house. Daniel frowned. I wasn't expecting anyone. He moved to the door and checked the security monitor. The color drained from his face. A man stood there, late 30s, unshaven, with a crooked grin that sent a cold ripple through Daniel's chest. Behind him were two more men, both built like hired muscle. Emily heard the beep and looked over, instantly reading Daniel's face. Who is it? Daniel hesitated. Does the name Travis mean anything to you? Her world tilted. The plate in her hand slipped, shattering on the floor. He found me? She whispered, her breath catching. He's here? Daniel stepped forward. I need you to stay calm. Take Noah into the panic room behind the laundry. But it was too late. The men were already forcing their way through the front gate, shouting. Emily grabbed Daniel's wrist, eyes wide. He's dangerous, Daniel. He told me if I ever left, he'd find us. He always finds us. Daniel pulled out his phone, calling security, then turned to her. I promise you, he's not going to hurt you. Not again. The confrontation didn't last long. Daniel's private security arrived within 3 minutes. But to Emily, it felt like a lifetime. Travis stormed in, shouting her name, his voice full of venom. You think you can run from me, Em? Take my kid and disappear? Noah, woken by the commotion, clung to Emily's side in terror. Mommy, what's happening? Daniel stepped between them and Travis without flinching. You have no legal rights to that boy. You've committed assault, and you just broke into my home, Travis sneered. Who the hell do you think you are? Daniel didn't blink. Someone with enough power to make sure you disappear in the system for a long time. Security tackled Travis and his goons just as police sirens approached. The struggle was over in seconds, but Emily still trembled, clutching Noah like he was her lifeline. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. You're safe now. She turned to him with tears in her eyes. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to, he said softly. You already did, just by surviving. 2 weeks later, Emily stood at the front porch of a modest, sunlit apartment complex. A representative from the outreach program handed her a key, her own place, her own start. Noah ran ahead to choose his room, laughter echoing down the hall. Emily turned to Daniel, who had helped furnish the place, and paid the first few months' rent without question. You gave us everything, she said. Why? Daniel looked at her for a long moment. Because someone once gave me hope when I didn't deserve it. And now, I see myself in you. In him, her voice trembled. Will we see you again? He smiled. Only if you want to. She hesitated, then without warning stepped forward and hugged him tightly. Thank you for stopping that night. He hugged her back, just as firmly. Thank you for letting me. 6 months later, Emily had a steady job at a local clinic. She was saving for college courses. Noah was thriving in school, and Daniel, he stopped by often, sometimes with books for Noah, sometimes just to check in. Eventually, it stopped being about gratitude. Eventually, it became something more. Love didn't arrive in grand gestures or overnight miracles. It grew slowly in the quiet moments, in Sunday breakfasts, school drop-offs, long conversations at the kitchen table, and all of it, everything, began with one rainy night and a man who refused to keep driving.